Hello random people on the internet, my name is Banana, and today Mayor Diana just got voted into office, and with that comes the brand new Mythological Rituals event. And in this video, I'm just going to give you guys a full guide on exactly what you're going to need to do everything in this event. I'm going to mainly be talking about how to kill some of these legendary bosses, but all of the tips that I give are definitely going to work for every single boss. So yeah, let's get right to it. So for the basics, Mayor Diana is going to be over here and she's going to be selling the two most important things for this event. And that is going to be the Griffin Pet and the Ancestral Spade. So to talk about the Griffin Pet for a second, it starts off as a common pet, alright? And you're going to have to upgrade it by going into your recipe book, looking at combat recipes, and then you're going to have to go to the last page here, and you have to make a bunch of these base Griffin upgrade stones. Every time you want to make one of these stones, you have to make a base Griffin upgrade stone, and you have to upgrade it one by one up until you get to legendary. Now, what is the difference between each of these rarities? Well, basically, every time that you level up your Griffin, you're going to be getting better loot from this event, and you're going to be getting harder bosses and enemies in this event. So the uncommon is going to be pretty easy. Rare is going to start getting a little bit difficult. Epic is probably going to be like sort of easy for people who consider themselves late game, like superior armor with like Midas and stuff. They'll be able to do this. And then the legendary pet is going to have probably the most difficult bosses in the game right now. Pretty much everyone is going to be dying to these at least a little bit, unless you know the strategies I'm going to talk about in this video. But these ones are really hard, so I wouldn't recommend leveling your Griffin up to legendary unless you really think you're ready. I'm talking recombobulated talismans. I'm talking 2 billion coins in your bank, because it is really expensive to do this. Because I mean, look at this upgrade in general. 2 stacks of enchanted gold blocks, when gold blocks right now are almost 60 million coins a stack. So this is going to be a really expensive upgrade, and I'm not going to really recommend it for anyone who is just like mildly endgame. Like if the best armor you have is like superior and you have an aspect of the dragons, I'm not going to recommend this. But if you think you're ready, go for legendary. So the Ancestral Spade that you buy from her is going to be very important for the event as well, because you're going to right click it and it's going to send out a trail. So you can see my trail is going somewhere that way. And I'm just sort of going to follow the trail and just show you guys what you're going to find, because basically every time you're going to right click this, you're going to be led on a path, and that path is going to take you on a journey to find a bunch of different piles. So you can see my trail is going to lead right there every time I pop it, and it's going to go to this pile. Now what's going to happen whenever I like break this or dig this up? Basically what happens is you're going to get either some loot, you're going to get an arrow that points you in a new direction, or you're going to have to fight an enemy. And some of these enemies are easy, some of these enemies are hard, and I'm going to talk about the builds that I'm going to recommend to fight these guys, and then some tips to fight each of them specifically. So starting off with talismans, this build was told to me by Inhumanly from Inhumanly and Mechs. They got a really good channel, you guys should check it out. But on your uncommons, you're going to have Strange, and Strange is going to give you some bonus attack speed, and that's really what you're looking for here. And then rares, you're going to get a Luxurious Spool and convert all of your rare talismans into Silky. This is going to give some good crit damage, and crit damage is going to be really awesome. And then for your epic talismans, you're actually going to go back to Strange. Strange is going to be really good, and attack speed is going to be really awesome, and I'm going to talk about the 2 reasons why later, but I'm just going to recommend this build to you right now. Epics are going to be Strange, and then legendary and mythic talismans will be Strong, because Strong just gives really good damage. You're getting so much strength, so much crit damage. It's just beautiful on these mythics and on these legendaries. So once again, that's Strange on uncommon and common if you have those. It's going to be Silky on rare, and then Strange on epic, and Strong on the higher tier ones. So for armor, I'm going to recommend, if you're doing legendary specifically, you're going to want perfect tier 12 with a Reaper mask, because these bosses hit so hard that you are going to need this. You are going to need some insane defense. You're going to need the ability to just sit there and take so many hits, because these guys are going to knock you down, and they're going to knock you down hard. I can sometimes get one shot if I leave a boss alive for too long while I'm wearing this tier 12. So anything below that is just going to get a bit bodied whenever you're fighting these, unless you're using some weird tactics like Yeti spamming with Ys. But if you're fighting anything that isn't a legendary tier mob, and by that I mean you're using an epic griffin or lower, you're going to be probably okay using something like superior or just any of your more tanky damage sets. You don't want to be using something like a tuxedo or something, because obviously that's always going to get bodied. But I mean, superior will handle the lower ones perfectly fine. You just really need to tank more on the legendary ones. So for weapons, I'm going to recommend 2 different ones for people who are grinding legendaries. And you got to remember, legendaries are for the rich boys, okay? So the first one that I'm going to recommend is the Emerald Blade. The Emerald Blade is going to be really good for these if you have over like 500 million coins, I would say. If you have over 500 million coins in your bank, you're going to be able to just slash and kill these guys with so much damage, because you're going to be hitting over like 200,000 per hit, and that's just going to make you able to just kill them really easily. You're going to be tanking a lot, and M-Blade is going to be really good there. But if you want to do a little more damage and you're confident in your tanking abilities, I'm going to recommend the brand new sword, the Sword of Revelations. So if you don't know how to craft this, it's actually in the combat recipes. You're going to need a bit of stuff from the update to craft it. You're going to need some ancient claws, some feathers, some gold blocks, and a stick, just a normal stick, not a dataless stick. It's going to make the Sword of Revelations, which makes you deal 200% damage against mythological creatures and Minos followers, but you also receive 75% more damage from them. So that is going to be a lot of damage gained against them. But I have been using this thing. I have a tier 6 maxed out one. It actually has 32 hot potato things on it, so I actually got a sort of glitch there. It's thick because it is a wood sword, so you can put a wood singularity on here. All I have to do is recombobulate this, and this is the perfect sword. And it's going to be dealing so much damage. I'm able to hit almost 420,000 damage towards the end of a fight on mobs because of Execute. And this thing does so much damage. So if you think you can tank, if you're using something like Perfect Tier 12 and you have something like Combat 50, Foraging 50, this sword is going to be so amazing for you. And I mean, if you're fighting anything that isn't legendary, you're just going to want to use whatever sword you can get. Whatever the best sword you have is going to probably work on here. You got to remember that Aspect of the Dragons is going to be weaker here if you're using, like if you usually use an epic dragon pet or something like that. You can't use that here. You have to use the griffin pet whenever you are grinding in the mythology event. So you're going to want something, I'd say a Midas at minimum if you are grinding legendaries, but I really do like the Sword of Revelations. I really do like the Emerald Blade, but you don't need something that good for the epics. So we've talked swords, we've talked armor, we've talked talismans. Now let's talk tips for the bosses. To go over the first 3 bosses that I'm just going to quickly glaze over here because they're really easy. The Minos Hunter is really weak. It has like 200,000 health even if you are fighting the legendary version of it, and you're pretty much just going to kill this thing instantly. It's really easy. The next boss that I'd say is really easy is the Siamese cats. These cats are going to basically only be able to be hit one at a time, so you hit one of them and you have to switch to the other one, and then you hit that one, switch to the other one, and go back and forth between them until they're dead. I can like 3-shot each of the cats with my Sword of Revelations. They're pretty weak, so it is a pretty easy kill. And the last easy kill is going to sort of, I mean, this one is a tiny bit harder, but there's really no strategy behind fighting this one, and that's going to be the Minotaur. The Minotaur is going to have some of the best drops from the update, and it's going to be really easy to kill because you're pretty much just going to stand there and face tank it whenever you're fighting the legendary one with your Reaper mask and your diamond armor. And it's just going to be really easy. You're just going to want to hit it. I mean, this one is really simple. Just whack the guy. So there's going to be 3 bosses that are actually difficult in the game, and one of them I actually couldn't get footage of, but it's going to be very similar to another one that I'm talking about. So the first boss that I'd say is really hard is the Iron Golem boss. The Iron Golem is actually going to be really tanky because how his damage detection actually works is you can only hit him every 6 hits that you put in. That's why I recommend an attack speed build for this, because when you're using the attack speed, you're able to get those 6 hits in way faster because you're just like jittering on him and you get it done. And then you have to run away because this guy is going to hit you really hard. I've had multiple times where they just spawn right next to me and I instantly die because they just deal all of my health and damage. And that's because they'll melee you again, and then they'll strike you with lightning. You can tell if lightning is going to be like struck down on you if there is an iron block underneath you. They're going to spawn those in and then strike with lightning. The longer you keep them alive, the more often they're going to start striking, and those lightning bolts do a lot of damage. So you want to kill this as fast as possible by basically going in, getting your hits, running away for a second so that they don't hit you, watch for lightning, and then go in when you think it's safe again. It is going to be only a couple hits with the Sword of Revelations, and with other swords it's just going to be a long time of just clicking on him, running away, clicking on him, running away, and you just got to keep doing that. So the last two bosses that are actually also really hard, and probably harder than the Golem in my opinion for a lot of people, is going to be the Minos Champion and the Inquisitor. So both of these are pretty much the same mob. The Inquisitor has a bit of different things than the Champion, but generally it's going to be the same strategy. I don't have any footage of the Inquisitor because it actually is the rarest mob spawn that I have seen. Maybe there's one that exists that's rarer and no one has got it, but it gives the best rewards. It gives some enchanted ancient claws. It gives some enchanted gold. It gives like 96 ancient claws along with the enchanted one. So you're going to get a lot of loot from Inquisitors, but these Champions and Inquisitors are going to hit you hard, and they're going to be very fast, and they have 10 million health. That's more health than some dragons have, and dragons are meant to be a whole lobby doing them. So you're going to have to be fighting these guys really hard, and the strategy that I sort of use here is to actually rush them. Trying to run away from these guys or trying to like get them just to come to you in a weird spot it never works consistently for me. Sometimes you can get them to come at you and then you hit them with a really good angle, but 9 times out of 10 they're just going to come in and they're going to just start whacking you, and when these guys start hitting you, the damage is going to stack up very quickly. Even if you have an ornate zombie sword, even if you have an overflux or a mana flux or something, these guys are going to start bodying you. So my recommendation is to sort of take it like combo duels, and you're going to want to hit them in the air as much as possible. Another thing that I can recommend is hitting them into a wall and then standing at the distance where you can just hit them against the wall, and they're just going to slowly go up and then come down, because when you're hitting them against the wall, they're not going to be able to hit you. And it's basically going to be just free hits over and over like that, but a lot of the time you aren't going to spawn them like near a wall, because you're going to be fighting them over in the high level. You're going to be fighting them in just random wide open areas that have no walls at all. So my recommendation is to sort of just rush them and attack them as fast as possible so that they cannot get any hits in, because if they get hits in, you've probably already lost. Just some final tips in this video. For one, the void is not your friend. You may think that throwing an enemy into the void is actually going to be just a good strategy to get it off of you, but the enemy is going to teleport right back up to you, and the majority of these guys have some sort of feature where the longer they're alive, the more of a pain in the ass they become. You look at something like a champion where they're literally gaining damage every second that they're alive. They're going to be hitting you just a bit harder every time. The golems are going to start hitting you with lightning more often once they're alive for longer, so you want to be able to kill these things faster, and the void is just not going to do that because they're just going to teleport right back up. Another tip that I have is that the epic griffin is actually not that great. The difference between the rare mobs and the epic mobs is really not enough to where epic is that worth it. I'd either go for rare or go for legendary. And I mean, I recommended perfect tier 12 in this video, but if you can do this in any other armor, for one, why are you watching this video? If you can do this in superior and you are very confident in killing these mobs, good on you. But I think perfect tier 12 is a much safer way. Going tanky is definitely safe compared to a lot of things in this update, because I mean, you're going to get rocked no matter what, but if you are a more skilled player, you definitely can run superior to try and get more magic find. But overall, I think this event is definitely one of the biggest events in Hypixel Skyblock when it comes to the amount of stuff you can get from it. There's a brand new legendary talisman. There is a brand new amazing weapon in the Daedalus axe. And I mean, the drops for this are so rare. As of right now, when I'm recording this, which is at 1 in the morning on September 10th, there's only one Daedalus stick that has been dropped. And right now, someone is trying to flip it for 200 mil. Don't buy it for that much, because it's not that good. But grinding for the Daedalus axe is going to be awesome. Grinding for the Beastmaster crest is going to be awesome. grinding for all these new pet items. There's new pet items that are just drops, like the antique remedies, and there's one that actually boosts your fishing. I forget what it's called, but there are just so many things that are from this update. So I hope that this video helps you maybe kill these guys a little easier. If it doesn't, you know, then I'm just useless. I failed my job. But if it did help you out at all, I would really appreciate a like or a subscription down below. If you want to see more content based on the community center update and just all Hypixel Skyblock updates all around, I'm going to be posting a lot of stuff all the time. So, you know, until then, I will talk to you guys in the next video. Peace out.